Today we are working on Deep Dive Lesson 20 from Module 2. Today you will need your Johnny Appleseed book and your blue workbook. We are going to work on using past and present tense verbs today. Remember, verbs are action words. We're going to do a little safari or a little hunt for some verbs in our book. What do you already know about verbs? Can you think of some examples of verbs? As I mentioned, we're going to look for verbs in your book. So open your blue workbook to handout 20B. And it says Grammar Safari. We're going to go on a grammar safari for verbs. Then we're going to sort the verbs as past or present tense. Remember, past means it happened in the past. Present means it's currently happening. So in this rectangle, we're going to jot down as many verbs as you can find as we read the assigned pages. So you don't have to do the whole book. We're just going to do pages 3, 9, and 10. We're going to look for verbs on those pages. I'm going to show you an example of what we're going to do. So I opened my book up to page 3. It looks like this. I'm going to read, and I'm going to underline just to show you, but you will not be underlining in your book. You'll just be writing them on handout 20B. So I'm going to read. I'll start with the first sentence. One day, after a long walk, John sat under a tree to rest. Now I saw a verb, or heard a verb, read a verb, sat. John sat under a tree to rest. So I'm going to go to my handout 20B, and I'm going to write the word sat, because that is an action, something that you do. Okay, now I'm going to go back to page 3. Are there any other? Let's just keep going. He felt the warm sun on his back and the fresh grass tickling his toes. He felt the warm sun on his back and the fresh grass tickling his toes. Tickling. Felt, you can feel something, and tickling is another action. I'm going to add these to my handout 20B. It's sat, and then, what was it? Felt and tickling. Now, I've only read 2 complete sentences, and I've already found this many verbs. So I'm going to keep going. John took an apple from his sack and ate it. Took and ate are both verbs. I'm going to write them down. I'm going to space these out so they're not squished together. Took and ate. Okay, are you starting to see what we need to do today? Reading the pages, finding the verbs. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to give you all the verbs, but I am going to read the rest of the page. And then you jot down any verbs that you hear for the rest of this page. And when he had finished, he looked in his hand at what was left, just a few brown seeds. And John thought, if one gathered seeds and planted them, our land would soon be filled with apple trees. Pause here to jot down any other verbs that you found on this page. I'm going to underline all of the verbs on this page, and you can check your work. I did miss one in the first sentence here. Rest was another verb. He felt the warm sun in his back. Tickling we got. We have took. We have ate. He looked. There's another verb. John thought. Another verb. Gathered is an action. Planted is an action. Filled is another action word. So all of the underlined words are verbs. So again, we write those down on handout 20B. If you run out of room, you can get another piece of paper to write them down. Otherwise, it's okay if you can't fit all of them. I think 5 is probably a good number from this page. We're going to need to fit them on our past tense and present tense rectangles too. So just looking at that one page, page 3, looking at our verbs, we have sat. Sort your verbs as past tense or present tense. Sat is past tense. Sit would be present tense. Felt is also past tense. If it were present tense, it would say feel. Tickling is present. That means it's happening in the moment. If it was tickled with an AD, then it would be past tense. Then we have the word took. Good, that's another past tense. If it were present, it would be take or taking. And we have ate. Is that past tense or present tense? Good, it's past tense. Ate. If it were present tense, it would be eating, or I'm eating the apple instead of I ate the apple. Okay, you're going to do the same thing with pages 9 and 10. I have pages 9 and 10 on here, and I will read through them for you because some of these words do get tricky. So page 9, again, we are finding the verbs on these pages. As he walked, John planted seeds. He gave a small bagful to everyone he saw. Soon, everyone who knew him called him Johnny Appleseed. What verbs do we see on this page? Write them down on your handout 20B. Okay, let's check your work. Walked, planted, gave, knew, and called are our verbs on this page. Did you get them all? Okay, let's look at page 10. Again, if at any time I'm going too quickly for you, then you can pause the video. Page 10. Sometimes Johnny stopped for many weeks, helping the pioneers. They cleared the land. They built homes. They planted rows and rows of apple trees. When they were finished, Johnny walked on to help others, but he always came back to see his friends. Pause the video and try to find the verbs on your own. When you're done, unpause the video. Let's check your work. We have stopped, helping, cleared, built, planted, were is another verb, walked, help, and then came and see. Those are the verbs on this page. How did you do? Did you get some of them? Most of them? All of them? Again, with those verbs, we should be adding them to our page or our handout 20B. So I'm going to take just a couple from page 9. I'll use a different color to show. So page 9 we'll put in purple. Page 9. So we had the word walked, or the verb walked. We had planted. We had gave and knew and called. Walked is past tense or present tense? It's past tense. That means it happened in the past. For present, it would be walking. Again, we know the ed suffix means it happened in the past. And I see planted also has an ed, so that must be past tense as well. Gave. If I gave something to someone, then that would be past tense. Present tense would be give or giving. Knew. I knew the answer to that. It's past tense. And then looking at called. Ooh, another ed, so that must be past tense. We have a lot of past tense words. I wonder if we have more present tense on page 10. We'll do 10 in blue. So you should have already written these words down. Now we're just checking our work. I'll see if I can fit these on here. Page 10, we had stopped. I'm going to make this even smaller. Stopped helping. Oh boy, I might run out of room. Cleared. Built. We have planted again, so I'm not going to rewrite it. We're walked. Do we have walked? We have walked already. We have help. Came. And then see. Okay. Let's look at our first blue one. Stopped. Is that past tense, present tense? Ends with ed, so it must be past tense. Cleared. Oh, same thing. Ends with ed. Help is present tense. See, also present tense. If it was past tense, it would be saw, or I had seen something. Built. The sentence was they built homes. Built. Oops, I almost wrote build. Building would be present tense. And then we have came. That one's tricky. That one is past tense. They came back to see his friends. And then see we already put in. Okay, I think we got most of them. Check your work. Give yourself a little smiley or a star. We worked hard today. Look at all of those verbs we found. Nice job. Again, if you ran out of time, you can pause the video and finish up. Once you're done with 20B, we are done with the deep dive for today.